Hello everyone, Pallytuff here. Welcome to a brand new game for our channel. This is Dauntless. It is a Monster Hunter style game on the PC, currently in closed beta, but it's going to be going free to play pretty soon with an open beta. I saw this game originally at PAX East and was intrigued, played it, really enjoyed it, came home, and I found myself playing it more and more in my free time and in some of our Twitch streams. So I just wanted to give you a general introduction to what Dauntless is, because we may be playing this a fair bit in the future. I enjoy it quite a bit. What is it all about? Well, it's about going out into the world. There's these floating islands out in the distance that are going to be inhabited by friendly people, but in order to help our people colonize these areas, we have to go out and beat the crap out of some monsters that would pose a threat to normal citizens. Or at least that's what I've been able to discern from what we've seen in the game so far. There is weapon crafting from this guy over here, and you craft weapons from body parts or hides and things like that from various animals that you encounter out in the world, or behemoths, I believe they're called, that you encounter out in the world. And they all do various different things. So this one does damage versus staggered behemoths, more damage versus staggered behemoths. This one up here does more damage to wounded parts on these behemoths. So if you have a particular area on a mob that you're trying to hit a lot, this will deal more damage to a part that's already wounded, like a leg or a tail or an arm, things like that. You also have some armor crafting over here.
Talk to me.
And this, once again, is used by getting pieces of the hides of the behemoths that we're going to be fighting, and they have various effects. The set that I'm using is the Skarn set, and it increases your maximum health by 50 with each piece that you put on. My mentality here was, if I have more health, I have more of a leeway to kind of learn fights. If stuff hits me a little bit too hard, then I have more wiggle room. But I think I'm going to be migrating away from this set in the future for one that's a bit more damage-oriented. Something like this one, for instance. So 2.5% damage to parts on hit would pair extremely well with that axe that we were just looking at if we're trying to cut off specific body parts. There are different weapons in this game, as I mentioned, and they do work in different ways. What I'm using now is the hammer. This is all about doing combos that you charge with ammunition, but big concussive hits. You smash things in the head, they take a lot of damage. Then we have axes. These are really slow weapons. You do a lot of charge up attacks, but could deal some pretty devastating damage as well. Swords are a balance of power and mobility. That's how everyone has explained it to me. Then we have these chain blades, which allow you to attack at range, and it's very fast and very mobile playstyle. And then war pikes, which are all about dealing consecutive damage, like consecutive hits, without taking damage yourself. And if you're able to do that, you can do some devastatingly hard-hitting ranged attacks. So pretty cool stuff. I am going to be using the hammer today because we're hunting a specific boss that I really like, and I need his hides to upgrade the rest of my gear. So I'll bring you guys along on that hunt. All right, so we've arrived on our island. These can have different biomes. I've seen some frozen ones, some that are located in like a desert area. This one's nice and green. Now, while we're out here, I'll go ahead and use one of these airdrops. It'll go ahead and tell me where all of the resources in the vicinity around me are. So if you are low on supplies, going out on hunts and just gathering resources is a pretty good idea. You can use these to make things like health potions, resistance potions, berserking potions, which allow you to deal more damage, and things just to make it easier to hunt down these mobs. Now, the one we are hunting for is a rock enemy, which is why we're bringing our hammer for this, because it does concussive damage, and we can actually shatter the rocks off of the side of the monster. It's pretty damn cool. He's usually hiding out somewhere. He likes to camouflage himself to look like one of the healing items. And maybe it just happened that way. Maybe it's not a conscious decision on his part, but he can be a little tricky to find. So up ahead here, the kind of rift in the ground on the left that's spewing out that essence, I can heal with that. The one on the right is the behemoth. So let me tell you a little bit about this hammer. Let's go ahead and pull it out. Very slow attacks, as you might be able to see here. We have a few combos that are pretty easy to perform. This is moving forward and swinging. It's a very fast combo compared to the others, but deals less damage. Then we also have a stationary attack, which allows us to kind of swing around in a circle. This is all done using our fast attack and then based on our positioning. We can also use our right click to fire off a bullet, and if you look at the top of the screen, we have 4 shots of this. We can double tap that, as you may have seen there, to propel us in a direction. We can fly forward with it, so it gives a little bit of mobility. We have to play a Gears of War reload game if we want to get our charges back. So, if you time it right by pressing the Q button on the keyboard, we can get all of our shots back with relative ease. If you mess up the timing, well, then your character is going to be stationary, and you get a different piece of ammunition. I don't know exactly what that means. All of that's not too complicated until you bring the next layer of difficulty into using the weapon. We can use ammunition with every attack. So let's go back to this combo that we used earlier. This is our forward fast attacks. We can choose to empower each of these with ammunition by doing a light attack and then a heavy attack immediately after. So it empowers the combo to deal even more damage, and that's where we're going to get a lot of our concussive damage. But that also means you have to monitor the amount of ammunition that you're using at any given time. Well, there's another layer, and I'm not really good at this part yet. After every attack, you can hit the reload button to get a little bit of ammo back, or to get the ammo back that you just used. So it's possible to do this without ever stopping to reload once you get good enough with the weapon, and there's a lot of depth in that. I also didn't show you my favorite attack, which is sprinting forward and then doing a slam right in front of you. Now, the weapon I'm using does do more damage to the head of behemoths, so I want to be smacking this guy right in the face. I believe in a group party setting, it's going to be my job to knock out behemoths as much as possible. Now, like I said, he is a rock behemoth. He has earth surrounding him, protecting him, and I need to break this off of him. If we were in a group setting, you can do a hunt of up to 4 people at a time. Oh, he's doing a gravity attack. We got to get away from him. It would be my job to expose his skin so that they can deal more damage and start cutting into the hide, which I think is so fucking cool. All right. So his faceplate's off. Now if we hit him in the damage, you can see the 891 was just our normal hit. Messed up my reload there. The 891 was just the normal hit, and the blue damage that you see there is the concussive damage. So if I stack up enough blue damage in a short amount of time, we're going to be able to knock him out. He was going for a power attack there, but we did interrupt it. You may have seen momentarily that there were some, like, swirling objects around his head. That means he's starting to get stunned. He's a little woozy. He's a little dazed. And then I was able to keep up the pressure to totally knock him out. I never played Monster Hunter, but what I did do was play a lot of Dark Souls, and I got pretty good at figuring out boss tells and what they're doing. And I'm having that same sensation in this game where I can get a strategy, learn what the mob is going to do, learn what the behemoth is going to do, and then execute that strategy really well. I know what the majority of his tells are. He can shift the weight of his rocks over to one side and then kind of barrel towards you. He can also, as you saw there, get up on his hind legs and then send a spike of rocks through the ground that you have to dodge. It's a very interesting boss. I really like it. So I managed to break off a piece of his hide here. We'll go ahead and collect that. That is what I'm going to be using to upgrade my armor. Slow and steady wins the race. All right, when he does dive like that, he is exposed. So even if you didn't bring a hammer to this fight, you'd be able to move in and get some damage opportunities in there while he is kind of exposed. So you don't have to use a hammer here, but using a hammer on this fight has a clear purpose and advantage. You see him shifting all of the rocks on his side there. So we just need to keep up the pressure. Messed up my combo there a little bit. We can break off a little bit more of the area if we wanted to. Again, that's more for team play. We're just trying to deal concussive damage to his head. You can see he's kind of getting stunned there. Oh, he's going for his gravity attack. If you're closer to him, he's going to swoop you into his hitbox and deal a bunch of damage. So we're trying to stay back while he's doing that. I think I timed that relatively well. Let's try to knock him out. Now that he is knocked out, I'm going to get in position and go for my spin attack, which I completely messed up. I might be able to complete it. That was kind of risky. We could have taken some damage there. He's sending a spike to get me. Now, we haven't taken too many hits from this guy, but you'll notice up at the top left, I have this icon that's illuminated at the moment. Oh, I have to knock him down. Hold on. This icon is my lantern, and these lanterns are another piece of gear that you can craft, and they have a bunch of different effects. The one I'm using gives me a personal shield, so I'm able to use this lantern whenever I take a little bit too much damage to give me a bit of a buffer on my health bar. So just so he doesn't hurt me too bad. He's probably going to enrage soon because I'm beating him up pretty bad. And when he enrages, his mechanics are going to change pretty drastically. He's going to turtle up and be completely defensive. And then if I stay too long for these attacks, he's going to punish me really hard for that. Let's try to get him into that phase. We'll break off a little bit more rock. Oh, another part of this before we get to the enrage phase is a callback to Dark Souls. We have immunity frames when we're rolling. So if you're able to predict attacks properly and see them coming, oh, we're gonna get hit there. Oh, see, perfect example. We can roll right through the boss to negate that damage because of the immunity frames, which is something I was very accustomed to doing in Dark Souls. So I'm glad to see that popping up in more games. Oh, here we go. He's enraging. He's turning red. He's going to regrow all that rock around him. Start to send more spikes to the ground. And if I stay in one spot too long, he's going to shoot all of those rocks out towards me, which is not something I want to deal with. So I'm going to use my gap closer attack to break off the front of his basically his helmet. We're going to break that off and then try to just keep up the pressure here because it's a bit harder for him to actually attack me now. Other than that bite forward, I suppose. We lost our shield, so we'll go ahead and use our lantern to get those back, and we build up the lantern power just by dealing damage. I need to do a quick reload to get that ammunition back. The hammer is so complicated. Based off of my experiences so far, and maybe veteran players of Dauntless will agree with me or not agree with me, it seems like it's one of the harder weapons to learn, because not only are you going to be animation locked while you're doing these attacks and unable to evade, but you also have to understand the boss's movements, which is one of the most rewarding parts of the game for me, because as I've fought this boss more and more, and I've learned more and more about it, this fight has become easier and easier. And it's not because the boss is going easy on me, it's because I'm getting better at fighting the boss. And that progression is so good, so fun. Oh, he is stomping around. This means he's going to be burrowing into the ground. We get a moment of silence, a moment of rest. I'll go ahead and use the rest of this essence to heal. I think you get about a full health bar from each of these. If you are in a party, however, if you are in a hunting party, you're going to have to share that between several players, so don't be greedy. If you look down at the bottom of the bottom right-hand side of the screen, we have a few icons down there. One is a health potion. Two is a stamina potion. Now, the hammer isn't too stamina intensive, so I don't feel too bad about not using those. Then we have a self-revive. Just in case I do die, I'm able to get myself back up just one time. And then for hunting parties, we have a flare that we can throw up into the air. This will mark this area to everyone we're playing with and let them know that we found the behemoth, or pointing out some important resources that they can collect. But he's burrowed over here. He's doing the same tricks. We know that he's the one on the left. Let's do a quick reload and get out. Okay. He reformed all of his rocks, so we have to break him off. We also have a shield from our lantern again, so let's go ahead and use that. He's going for his gravity attack. Let's get out. Oh, I messed up my timing. I was gonna go into the storm. Let's go ahead and roll out of the way. But I cannot stress how much fun I'm having learning the boss's tells, coming back and fighting this boss again and seeing myself improve. but also using the materials we get for this, going back to the hub and making my gear even better. It's been really, really rewarding progression so far. I've only played for about 10 hours, so we're not super far in or anything. Maybe 12, 13 hours by now. So we're not super far in. This is a tier 2 difficulty. I've seen people talking about tier 5 difficulty bosses, so they definitely get harder than this. But it's been a pretty fun experience. There we go, he's down. And he's not getting back up. Ugh. Took 15 minutes to take that guy down. We got an S+ ranking. You can get an S++, so I did pretty good. But it could have been a little bit better. Now we're gonna head back to the hub and put those resources to good use. All right, we're at the armor crafting lady. We're going to beef up our defenses even more in our Skarn set. We don't only get 1 hide from that, but that's mostly because I was only focusing on damaging his face. If I had focused on damaging other parts of his body, we could have potentially secured a few more hide from that encounter. But now that we have it, we just throw it into this. This next piece doesn't need hide. And I believe when I started upgrading these, I was at 140 defense, but we need 1 more hide to get it done. Now we're sitting at 210, so quite a hefty increase from just upgrading this gear. Now I can move up in difficulty. I can move on to tier 3 encounters so far, but personally, I'm trying to make sure that I am as well prepared as possible for the new encounters. That's why I'm increasing the defenses on the gear that gives me the most health, so I have a little bit more wiggle room when I'm learning the new bosses on the next difficulty. But also why I upgraded my weapon as high as I could get it as well. So the next area is going to be the Yonder Keys. And there's some new bosses in here that I have not seen before. So if you guys enjoyed this, if you like Dauntless and you want to see a little bit more gameplay, I'd be happy to show it to you. We can take a look at more of the behemoths and continue to progress our character. Really, really enjoying my experience so far. And I just wanted to share a little bit of the game with you guys, even though we have been streaming it a little bit as well. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.